Good morning, everyone, and thank you for having me leading this panel on absolutely one of my favorite topics. If I get a cent or a dollar for every time I say interoperability, I would still be here because it's so interesting. So I lead Emerging Payments Association Asia, which is the leading branch organization across APAC for anybody who moves money, from big banks to the networks to the payment service providers, and we focus on policy and advocacy and thought leadership to enhance payments. And I think we all have seen like technology over the last 10 years is really driving a lot of options when it comes on moving value across the world. And also a lot of geopolitical forces are in play here. And just the other week I was at Cybos in Beijing, and we talked lots about collaboration, innovation, and interoperability and harmonization. And at the same time, we had the BRICS in Moscow coming out with a message about BRICS Pay, which is yet another payments network in the making, a decentralized multi-currency network. And I think options is good. Horses for courses, as one might say, but still it increases the challenge for seamless interoperability and security. So thank you to Hong Kong FinTech Week for putting such a fantastic panel together here for me. So they've already been introduced, so I'm going to start the other way around from what we normally do to help you, audience, with what you need to take away from this panel. So, Kavi, turning to you first, what is one thing you want the audience to take away from today?
Okay. By way of introduction, my name's Kavi Harilela. I'm from Payment Asia. So one of the things we're looking at is AI's transformation in the payment sector, making collaboration between the regulators and the compliance measures with that of the industry. And we're going to see how that's going to foster more innovation going forward and make for more efficiencies. And that's the key thing and key message I'd like to pass across.
Daniel, one sentence.
Daniel from Tencent. One sentence for me is that, as the title mentioned, that interconnectivity or interoperability will definitely be a trend for digital payment in the next generation. And AI and blockchain will play important roles along this journey. Thank you.
Thank you. Bill from X Transfer. What is one sentence?
Hello, I'm Bill from X Transfer. And my one sentence is to use digitalized and AI-driven solutions to deal with issues arising from AML to make sure financial service could be inclusive to SMEs from around the world.
So audience, as you can hear, we're going to focus in a lot of how to use new technology, AI, to solve the challenges I just set out in the beginning. But it's always good to get started. Where are we now? And when we're talking about next generation of platform, how do they really look? So I'm going to turn to you, Daniel, to say a little bit about what technology is driving and enabling innovation in our space.
So think about the digital payment. I think in the last few years, most players are focusing on the development in their own domain. But if you look at the future, I think the trend will be interconnectivity. And Tencent, as an example, we have been exploring the opportunities of interconnectivity in different dimensions. For example, in mainland China, we open up our merchant network to other wallets like UnionPay, eCNY wallets, and other e-wallets from telecom operators and commercial banks. And same thing for Hong Kong residents and for international visitors. We open up our merchant network to them so that Hong Kong users can use WeChat Pay wallets to do the payment in all the merchants of WeChat in mainland China. And move on, we actually try to connect with other payment networks in Southeast Asia. For example, recently we get connected to PayNet, so that all PayNet's 2 million merchants can accept the payment from Weixin Pay users. That's all the tourists from China to Malaysia. And same thing, we are building an infrastructure for remittance. We've been connecting to over 50 remittance providers in global to allow their users from over 100 overseas markets to send money from other countries to China, their loved ones, so that who can top up the money into their WeChat wallet balance. And along this journey, we believe that blockchain and AI are playing an important role. take AI as an example. We use it to enhance the KYC efficiency, enhance the onboarding effectiveness, as well as we use it to improve the effectiveness of risk management, as well as the transaction monitoring.
So between those two, just follow-up question there, like between AI and blockchain, what do you think we have used most? What are we harnessing best at this point in time?
So far, we use AI most. And we believe AI can continue to play additional values. For example, the large language model can help us to improve the customer service efficiency as well.
Yeah, it feels like we just scratched the surface of what actually can be done there. But Bill, turning to you to dig in a little bit more on this with AI, what do you see, where do you see we will see the biggest efficiencies applying AI as a technology?
So we are now trying to apply AI in every corner we operate our business. It could be, for example, it could be customer service, right? So before AI was introduced, our customer people have to respond to our customers' inquiries through telephones, this kind of thing, right? This is a very traditional way that we provide customer service. But then we introduce our AI-powered solution. So our customers will be able to ask questions on the app, and we will be able to respond to these questions instantly. And the question is very customized, right? But then the question is, I mean, the answers we could provide, it's very, very good, because customers, they feel like they are talking to a very experienced guy from our customer service team. So this is the one area that we have been using AI. The second area is also to, like, because X-Transfer, we have a large sales team, and we have to recruit many new salespeople. And many of the sales leaders, their obligation is they have to spend a lot of time to train their new hires. And also we have introduced an AI-powered tool to help to train the newcomers. This is also a very good tool to help us to improve our efficiency, to have a bigger sales team, to lower the cost to train the new hires. And the third thing about risk management. So we are doing the B2B AML risk management. So one of the key things is most of the document they show up in the unstructured way. We have to convert it into a structured data. So AI really helped. Previously, we used traditional AI technologies like neural networks, but with the introduction of large language model, because they are the master of language. So it is a good tool for us to utilize in risk management to convert all this unstructured data, unstructured information into structured ones.
Thank you for that. I think, financial services is such a perfect field to apply AI on, because it's data in and it's data out. And what we all provide is our core competence is probably that trust sitting in the middle. But just one quick in the audience, because when I was in Cybos, I did an AI panel also, and we asked the question, how many people are using AI in their day-to-day job? Okay. It surprises me still. How many people use it in their private life? You sure you're not shy, people on this side? Okay, so it's a lot more to be done here. It is the efficiency enhancer. I can't live without it. It was one thing I missed last week, it was ChatGPT. But turning over to Kavi, so a little bit like how to really enable the use of AI. We probably need some more guardrails and regulation, and I think it's framework coming out.
Well, yeah, there is a government framework that's meant to be released, and it'll be the first, sorry, can you hear me? It'll be the first government framework at the end of 2024. And this framework will basically focus on ensuring efficiency, ethicalness, and responsibility on data protection, because that's one of the biggest concerns with AI right now. Look, if we look at AI in general and how it's being adopted or viewed in the industry, there's a recent report that says 75% of all FIs believe that they can increase efficiencies. For us at Payment Asia, we've reduced our labor cost by 40%, just by utilizing AI. And it goes, I think as my friend here said, it's not just one element. You take the whole process. You take it from a simple inquiry to the application form, to the onboarding, which is included compliance and EKYC, to the monitoring of transactions and fraud, and then also back onto the customer service and advice. You see the impact that AI can potentially have and how much more efficient we can be. I mean, we're going to create a whole ecosystem that is all based on this AI environment. And what I anticipate from this regulation is they're going to dictate stuff like fairness. They're going to dictate stuff such as transparency. And one of the key components they are going to indicate is data protection and privacy, because that is a regulation that needs to come from the existing infrastructure and the existing regulation to encompass the new modern AI technology. And it'll be interesting to see how they develop this.
Yeah. So one of my favorite topics is always this with data, as I already pointed out, the data in and data out. And it's a one-stop shop for merchants and help them to connect around the world. Anybody on the panel that see like some really interesting use cases for using the new data sets and AI to enable your customers? So really a quick one to see if anyone...
Well, look, in terms of AI, give you one example that we use. We have a bot, we call it Paco Bot. And when our clients have a question, the bot is now trained on a WhatsApp message to answer these questions. It's now applicable in 2 languages, English and Chinese. But as we grow, we're going to go to different regions and different language. And the AI is constantly learning, and we're developing this bot on a daily basis. I mean, every piece of information or every question that our clients ask is just enhancing the ability of our bot to activate and generate the answers itself.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things we have to take care of is to ensure that these bots are monitored. And once the bots are monitored, this is how we're going to develop it.
Governance, governance, governance. And then I think that trick about regulating the outcomes and not the technology will be very important. Daniel, being a global company, and you referred to this with connectivity already before, can you give some use cases, how you use technology to overcome them when you've been rolling out across the world?
Yeah, I think for us, the current, most of the interconnectivity is built by basically the system integration, and we try to put on the AI elements on top of that. But if you mention about the technology journey, I think sometimes we mention the values of AI and blockchain, but in the real work, we believe that the challenge will sometimes go even beyond AI and blockchain. For example, in daily work, we found that for interconnectivity, the protocol will probably play a more important role. Let's say there's 10 different payment systems they want to integrate with each other. If we do it one by one, we probably need more than 40 rounds of integration to finish all the work. But if we can define a standard protocol or unified interfaces, that can help us to facilitate or accelerate the integration processes and make it much easier for longer-term maintenance. And same thing, I think sometimes we need to go beyond technologies and think about the business questions. If we try to interconnect with different payment systems with each other, we need to think about that every stakeholders along the journey or along the value chain of the interconnectivity should benefit from this project. Otherwise, if some party lost while some other made money, this is not sustainable. We need to make sure that both car issuers, wallet operators, merchant acquirers, merchant themselves, users have the motivation to attend or use this connectivity service, so they use it as a regular base. So I think probably technology is important, but think about the protocol, the standard, the governance, and the business case will be more important than those factors.
Yeah, I think it was, a paper came out 2 weeks ago from CPMI and the G20 project around API standardizations, which we have in technology, but this was all around that operationalization to really create the products on top and see what could happen on that. Anybody wants to add anything on that before? No?
That's fine.
Yep. Good, good. So, Kavi, coming to you a little bit, we talked about AML and KYC and how that really is at the center for consumers and system security. And concern about privacy, is especially around data sets, always comes up. What developments do you see coming out on balancing innovation and those regulations? Sorry, you get all the regulations questions today.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have a legal hat on, but we'll try our best. Okay, look, AML and KYC, we have to do it for our regulation. We need to understand our clients in general. I mean, if we just take our clients and just onboard them without knowing them, we can get into a lot of hiccups. One of our biggest challenges that we face is when we're getting a merchant from cross-border. Now, a lot of the data sets are not privy to us to pick up. So we have to rely on foreign jurisdiction data sets. And it raises the concerns of sharing the data sets between one jurisdiction and another jurisdiction. Now, this gets very complicated very fast. And there are different ideas and solutions on how one can solve this. Is it a sharing pool between different governments or different regulators? Is it operating into a sandbox? And we can test something out in the Greater Bay Area and have a sandbox for Hong Kong, Guangzhou, and Shenzhen, and see, are we able to share and interconnect? And can these businesses then just go to one entity to be able to find their KYC information? I mean, that is a very fundamental area where we face a lot of difficulties right now.
Did you know that we're coming out with an article around best practice for regulatory sandboxes with a cross-border payments perspective? Yes, next week. So thank you for that question. And has any of you actually been taking part in any of the sandboxes existing today?
Not yet. But actually, we believe it has been proven that, digitalization is the best tool to solve all the challenges. So companies like us, we believe, if the regulation is clear, it's a good thing for us. Anyway, we can implement it in a very cost-effective way, right? So the balance between the regulation and technology, I think it's not just you could choose either one. Actually, technology is a good thing to achieve the goal of regulation. Yeah. It's a good tool, right?
Look, I think one of the biggest taboos right now is when we talk about crypto and crypto payments. And one of the things that I think everyone wants to get and understand is the regulations and how they'll be implemented. Is the technology there today? Yes. Is the efficiency there today? Let me take a perfect example. If I wanted to pay for your coffee and you were based in London, it makes no sense for me to send you a transfer to pay it. It's not cost effective. Under the crypto, it is cost effective. I can send you the crypto to pay. But is the technology there? Can it be used? Yes, all those boxes are ticked. What everyone is waiting for is the regulations to be clear, concise, and that we can follow. Because we don't want to operate in a gray environment. And one of the key things that we wish to be involved with the regulators on how best to put this best practice in. And not just in Hong Kong, but Hong Kong, China. Is it going to be accepted? Is it not going to be accepted? We want to be involved in these discussions.
Yes. Do you think that the knowledge sits within policymakers today to actually be able to pass regulation? Or do we need to bring more use cases for understand impact?
Well, obviously it's a learning curve. It was a learning curve for me, it's a learning curve for them. I mean, these policymakers have been policymakers their whole life. They've not been innovators. So they need to work hand in hand with industry. Now, it takes time. We need to make sure that everyone's compliant. There are concerns also about stuff as, especially AML concerns are handled appropriately and managed because, yes, with crypto, there are some concerns that may arise. So we need to find a balancing act of what can satisfy the regulators and what will be efficient for the market going forward.
So I think this is probably important for us to bring the mutual effort. So from the regulator part, we actually expand them to provide more guidelines or clear currency. But from the industry players, from ourselves, we can provide more real cases so that the regulator can really define the best ways to manage all those data issues.
Yeah. Do you think that the definitions are out there today? Because I was in a roundtable here in Hong Kong a couple of months ago, and we almost get caught up because we use different definitions. So you say crypto. If I say crypto in Australia, like many people would actually leave the room, I have to say stable coins or tokenized deposit or regulated stable coins. Are the definitions there?
I think the definitions are there. It's just there are multiple definitions that are interchangeable, and that's the problem.
Yeah. I think you're taking the lead in Hong Kong. We're always looking at Hong Kong and the regulatory sandbox that's come out there to see what use cases are coming out. But Bill, turning to you, I'm going to stay on this discussion a little bit and see, do you get a lot of questions from in the B2B space around how to use those alternative rails based on blockchain?
Blockchain, right? So,
or DLT technology?
So we are now using a very traditional technology to deal with all the challenges in B2B world. Because we are still keeping an open mind in terms of crypto. But it's not yet an option for us. We are mostly based on fiat money because we believe we could enhance, could improve the usage of fiat money by using technology, by using AI.
Yep.
Yeah, and on the other hand, we are also seeing the crypto companies, crypto-related companies, they are also trying to utilize technology like like AI to enhance their risk management. For example, KYC, risk monitoring, and everything. Right? So we think both worlds are kind of, trying to utilize the same thing. I mean, this is something a proven thing to improve their effectiveness in risk management.
Yep, it goes hand in hand in setting those guarding rails for everybody to innovate, to be able to take that to the regulator so we can get to regulation going forward. I promised to take one or two questions. So here's going to see in the audience if we have somebody that has a burning question. No? Is it just because it's the morning and we're still shy, or we've given you all answers you need? Good. Then I'm going to turn to the panelists and ask, what is one thing you would like to happen to really move the dial? And you can choose if you want it to be in iChain's connectivity and operability or within the security space. One thing that could happen that could really change the scene and increase the efficiency in the system.
From my point of view, it's clear regulations. And once we as industry players get those regulations, we can adapt and implement these efficiencies quicker. What most people probably wouldn't know is we probably already have that technology already. It's just we need clarity on how to implement them.
Can you hone in on where you would like to see it? Because clear regulation, it could go anything from using AI to how we use data to...
I could give you it across the board.
Yeah.
From AI regulation on what information we can take from our clients so we can analyze and better serve them, and that also affects the data privacy law. Then we look at regulations such as taking payments in digital currency, crypto. Are we allowed? What can we do? What license will we need to have? This is the type of, I think in all aspects, we need to understand it. It's across the board.
Yeah, no, it's interesting that also the impacting what do we do, what activity do we have. Daniel, one thing that you?
From my point of view, I think probably the coordination between different payment networks can help accelerate the process. So for example, it's not just one country with the other one payment network with the other one. It's a multiple payment network coordination that can help us to define the standard and accelerate the whole journey.
Yeah. Thank you. And Bill?
Yeah, maybe the one for more connectivity between all the solution providers. Because now you see, I mean, we're talking about trade tech, right? So it's not only about payment, But also, companies like, like shipment companies, they are also introducing their API-based solutions, digitalized ones. And also the customs, the governments, departments, they are also providing their, digitalized solutions. So, but there is a challenges for all those, providers because they are not interconnected. So going forward, if we have a platform to integrate everything about the new solutions, that will be able to provide a very comprehensive experience to the customers, so that all the solution provider could be successful. I think that could happen one day in the future.
Yeah, I think that's super important to look at. We often say trade is a good thing. We all look to have more trade, specifically in our region, between SMEs. There is no trade without payments. There is no payments without the movement of data. And yes, as we referred to several times on this panel, it is really that AML and KYC element that is a bottleneck and costly that can be solved with the movement of data. And maybe we add a little bit of AI technology to draw out that. This has been a really good discussion, so thank you very much. I'd like to ask one thing though, last question. If we invited back next year, what would you like the title of the panel to be? We're going to do the job for the conference organizers really easy here. One title. While you think, I is going to say, I give you 30 seconds to think. I watched this documentary, fantastic documentary on the flight by Drew Carter, the wife of Jenny Cash, that actually was an amazing singer herself. I love country music. And what she said through the whole documentary was push on. So that's what we really need to do. It's still a lot of things to be done. And we talked in the beginning of this about the fragmentation, but it can be done if we all believe in it. So my title for next year would be, what would be something we'd push on and we'll get there. Kavi, what would your title be?
Well, I would lean towards how APM, so alternate payment methods, in one jurisdiction can facilitate cross-border payments. Maybe I should explain this a little bit better. So someone in Hong Kong using PayMe, needing to pay someone in Thailand using Prompt Pay, and how we integrate these systems going forward. Because every country has their own unique payment network. So I dub them alternate payment methods, and I want to see how the interconnectivity of these foster greater payments and infrastructure.
That's a good one, and I tell you, I experienced it all last week in China, but I got out on the top of it, learned so much. Daniel, what would the title be?
Because the things change very fast in the fintech area, so I think it's quite difficult to propose or predict the title for the panel of next year. But I'd like to take the opportunities to do a quick advertisement. So welcome everyone to Tencent's booth at TA14. In there, you can really enjoy or have a first-hand experience of all our palm payment and digital avatar experiences. And together, let's power the future of fintech. Thank you.
Fantastic. Bill?
And I see quite a few people from the audience is using AI. Actually, I use AI every day, and it's very useful. And I highly recommend everybody to use it. And maybe for the next year, the title should be, is AI uncovering its more magic again? Because, do we see a exponential growth of the power of AI? Yeah.
I like that, exponential growth of the power of AI.
We are only at the very, very beginning, but it's showing the magic already. We should embrace it. I think it's really brilliant.
And I have to say to everybody who doesn't use, it's like all the tools now with UX like that, anything is doable. Anybody can use it.
You just can't live without AI anymore, I think.
Give big applause to my panel. Thank you very much for being here with us.